Hello again, everyone. This is Zombie Kids Rule, and this is my fourth tutorial video for RPG Maker MZ for dialogue options. And this is actually my third video today. I have all of these dialogue options completed. I've had them done for a while, and I'm just now trying to get some videos made. And as I have time to do these, you'll notice if you've watched my other three videos in this series, and they're my first videos ever for these things. You'll notice, like I've said before, these are not fancy. I don't have, introductory animations and theme music and all this other stuff. Um, I don't have the knowledge for that, and also I'm just trying to share what some of the things that I have learned, that I have experimented with, that I have managed to create in RPG Maker MZ, and especially if I have not found similar tutorials in my search when I'm trying to learn. So again, hopefully you find these videos helpful. If you do, please subscribe, get the notifications, put some comments in to let me know, like the videos. It would be nice to know if these are helpful to people. So in the first video, you can see these posted. They're in a series of progression here. The first video covered the static NPC. They say one thing, and then the second NPC basically has a progression, but it's all pre-written. You decide what they're going to say. It progresses to make it look like they remember you, and they're changing their dialogue. And we did it using a variable to move things forward, or we did event pages. And then the second tutorial had to do with random dialogue, right? So using variables to randomize dialogue responses. We did that with using a variable to track it, and then an event pages. And then the third tutorial we focused on using common events. So we were doing the common events. I showed you all of those, and did it in, again, those two different ways, either using a variable to move it forward, or the event pages. And now for this fourth video, it's going to be a very similar to the previous one using common events, but now it's for personalization. And there's a very interesting way to personalize the dialogue, to have the NPC say a party member's, or the specific character's name, and you can do that using, of course, using variables, and again having random selected dialogue options. So like the previous videos, I'll demonstrate how this works, or I'll show you what it does, and then I will show you, behind the scenes of how it worked. And I would just like to say again that I am by no means an expert. I just started learning MZ in December of 2021. So this is not the only way to do these things. It may not even be the most efficient or best way, but it is a way that works. And from testing, I know that it works. So if there is something better out there, hopefully someone who watches this might leave a link, or comment in the chat to let us know. But other than that, this is a way that can work, and it is a viable option. So let's test this here, and we'll go up and talk to this older man as an NPC. And his name is Old Man with a Good Memory, because he likes to repeat your name. And so the first thing he does is says hello. He doesn't know who we are yet, and then he's going to say goodbye. Now, the premise is that in a fully fleshed out game, you would have an interaction with him, and at some point in time you would say his name, or you would tell him your name. And then when you talk to him again, he's now going to say, he's going to go through those greetings, 1, 2, 3, and 4, and the farewells, just like in the previous tutorial with common events, tutorial 3, the option 3. So he says, nice to see you again, but this time he calls you by name, Reed. He remembers who you are. Until next time, Reed, right? So when you talk to him again, that was the second time. Now he's going to do that thing about where he gets a little annoyed with you. Don't you have anything better to do, Reed? Maybe you could talk to someone else, Reed. And then he's going to do the greeting for that I just designed again to show that emotional, kind of transference. You certainly don't have to put that in a game. It's just a concept for testing. He says, "Why don't you go bug someone else, Reed, and don't bother to come back, Reed." So he's going to call you by name. Each time. And again, because of the way this is designed, he's going to stay angry with you forever because this is where the variable, stops, like from the previous tutorial. I really don't have time for this, Reed. For God's sake, just go away, Reed. Why don't you go bug someone else, Reed? Good riddance, Reed. So it's very similar to the previous tutorial and the way the previous common events were designed, but we want to personalize this. So all of this part over here is the same. We're going to use one event page. So this time I'm not going to show different, using multiple event pages, not using a variable, because that's already been covered. I just wanted on this one just to focus on a single NPC with personalization. So the first time we talk to him, we're going to use the same technique, or I used the same technique that I did in previous ones. I had a variable talked to NPC 4, so this is my fourth NPC, and it will be 0 when the game starts. So if that talk to NPC variable is 0, first time it will be. It's going to run the common event greeting 1, which was covered in the third tutorial, and it's going to return that text in a variable and display it. So slash capital V, and then in those brackets the variable number, right? And that's going to show whatever text is stored in that variable. And then it'll do the farewell, and it will display the same thing using that same variable. And then of course it skips all of these, and then just like the other previous one examples, we add 1 to the variable so that it will continue to progress. When we talk to this this NPC again, the talk to NPC4 will now have a value of 1, and this time it's going to call a common event greeting to personalized. And again, just as an example, because I wanted to show how we could personalize this text. And to do this, we're actually using 2 variables and a text option to call the name of a particular actor, right? In the party. So it's slash capital V and then the brackets variable 5. That's going to display the text, the first part of the text. Then without any sort of spaces, right? So I'll go in here and edit this. Without any sort of spaces, we're going to go right into the slash capital N for name, and then in brackets the 1 for, so that's the first, right? The first actor, and I only have 1 visible right now, so it's you'd use whatever number was applicable to the actor in the party that you wanted to reference, and then no spaces, and we're going to do another variable slash capital V in brackets variable 6. And you notice there's no punctuation because that's taken care of by what is being stored in the variable. So are the spacing. The spacing is taken care of in the variable as well. So that's how we're going to get that. You say the first part of the dialogue, then you say the character's name, and then you add the punctuation. So this variable 6 is actually just being used for punctuation here. And then it'll do the farewell, which is also personalized, so it will return the same thing. And you notice that we can still use those same variables because the game doesn't have to remember the previous values. It can overwrite them over and over and over again. And of course, it would go down, it would add 1, so the next time we talk to them, it would do this one, and it will go to greetings 3, farewell 3, and then ultimately greeting 4, farewell 4. And as I discussed in the last tutorial, because this is greater than or equal to 3, no matter how many times we run through this and add 1 to the variable, it will still continue to show this greeting 4 and farewell 4. So the real key here is how to display the text, and you're using the text option to display a variable, and then you're going to use the text option to display the name of a character, and then the text option, the variable option to display the text in another variable. And that's how this event works. Now, so going to common events, and we go to these personalized um, options. Essentially, what I did was I took what I previously had written for the other common events, and just in for the purposes of experimentation, I tried to break it up in a way that it could be returned in a personalized way. So as you'll see here, we're using that same variable for a random number. We're just going to keep using it over and over again. It checks, it determines a value of 1 through 5. And then if it's a value of 1, the first thing variable 5 NPC says is we're going to put in we meet again, comma, with a space, because we need to get that space structure ready for the name. And then variable 6, NPC says punctuation, right? So I tried to name the variable in a way that I would remember what it was doing, is just the punctuation that needs to come at the end of whatever the NPC is saying. So it could be, a period. You'll see some that are question marks, some that are exclamation marks, what have you. And then everything else works exactly the same as the previous tutorial on common events. So the only thing really different here is that we're splitting up the dialogue. We're using a comma and a space so that we can also add the personalized name, and then we can add the punctuation at the end. Now, again, there may be another way to do this. Maybe there's a more efficient way to do it. This is the way I figured out how to do it, and I said, hey, it works. So, you know what? Cool. I can use this if I want to, if I don't find another way to do it. And of course, you could mix and match these. So you don't always have to have it personalized. You could, do different things. So maybe your event, when you're dealing with a specific NPC, bounces back and forth between personalized greetings and unpersonalized, non-personalized greeting, personalized farewell and non-personalized farewell, to just again vary and make more random the dialogue that you experience when you talk to that NPC and different NPCs, right? So that is how this is structured. And again, there could be another way to do it, but this works perfectly fine. You're splitting up what you want them to say using two variables with text being stored. The first part is what you want it to say, and then leave the comma and the space. You can then put in the name, and then you have the punctuation. So again, when we go back here, you can see the first part is not doing that because the event doesn't know who you are at that point. But once you come back, we're going to again highlight this option here. And of course, you probably already know, but when you hover over, it will give you the display option, right? The different things that you can use within the show text box to do different things. And this is basically, you can see the options that I chose here, the /v, right, and then the number, and then the /n, and the number in brackets. So again, that's pretty much all for this particular personalization. It's not horribly different from the than the other option, of using the common events. And the again, you could mix and match. So for me, the big the big learning point was I can take all these different things and I can have a whole bunch of options for random dialogue, and I can use different techniques and mix and match those to make even make the NPCs seem like more living and breathing, more vibrant characters. And there's all kinds of more things we can do. And the next tutorial, we're gonna talk about some things like emotional type responses and day and night, changing for day and night. You could change it for seasons. You could change it for, you could have some sort of system where you track, the reputation of the party. and that affects the dialogue that they experience, or things like that. So again, I hope this helps. This fourth video option for using this personalization. If it does, again, let me know. Please leave a comment. By all means, feel subscribe, like, share, do whatever you want to do. And again, the purpose here is just to try to help other people who are, also trying to learn RPG Maker MZ. And the more I learn, and if I haven't seen tutorials about it, the more I will share. If you have not checked out RPG Maker Web, there is a great forum over there with lots of helpful people. They have some tutorials in their blog. And you'll find all kinds of resources. So, if you have not stumbled across that, by all means, go visit them. Thank you very much, folks. Have a great time, and I hope to see you again. Bye.